3.
Welcome to another episode of Around the 412. I am Tyler, and with me virtually as always, no, just kidding, it's Smitty and Herb. What's up, guys?
Bad jokes.
Yeah, I thought of that on the fly, and I realized I want to die after. So, but yeah, this is different for us.
This is weird.
Yeah, we're trying out this Zoom thing that everybody's talking about.
Yeah, we hopped on the trend of high schoolers.
My mom has to use this for school right now, so yeah, legit. Schoolers.
Yep.
But anyway, Around the 412, we are part of the PodHub Network. You can go to podhubnetwork.com and check us out along with all the other great podcasts on the network. We are sponsored by Teach Barbershop. Teach Barbershop is located at 180 Brighton Avenue in Rochester, PA. He's open Tuesday through Friday, 11 to 7, and Saturday 9 to 4. Every Tuesday, he does $5 off for military personnel, first responders, and nurses. If you've been listening to the show, if you know what's going on in the world, obviously Christian's not open right now, but we're going to still promote him. When he does open up, you will know if you follow him on social media, like his Facebook page, all that good stuff. And obviously just stay up to date with everything that's going on in the world. He wants to get open back up, but he's obviously, waiting just like everybody else, playing it safe, staying home, as everybody should be. We want to, send our thoughts to everybody. We hope everybody's staying safe in a time like this. And we mentioned last week, but I'll mention it again. We are part of All Steelers now, so our content can be found over there. With that being said, I don't know if you guys paid attention to our Twitter or not, but we're going to be doing our All Steelers team, All Pirates team, All Penguins team, our best lineups of all time. We'll see the variance that we have with those. Herb thinks he's going to get run out of Pittsburgh after this episode, so
might not be a bad thing.
Prepared for this to be his last show with us. But anyway. So we want to do the Steelers first, obviously, so you guys that are coming straight from the All Steelers stuff can give that a listen and then get the hell out of here so you don't have to listen to us talk anymore. But so let's go ahead and start with that. Herb honestly didn't say that this was going to be the reason that people were going to run him out of Pittsburgh, which was a surprise.
I don't think so. Yeah.
He thinks it's going to be the Pirates stuff. So starting with the Steelers, we'll start at the quarterback position. We're going to go around each time that we talk about a position. At the quarterback position, I feel like there's really only two options.
There's only one option.
There's really only two options. Only two
Cordell Stewart
quarterbacks in franchise history have won Super Bowls. Only two quarterbacks in franchise history have really been worth a damn. So I went with Ben Roethlisberger.
Same.
Yeah, me too. I feel like all of us are very well noted. Like, even
I'm so
though
disappointed
Bradshaw
somebody didn't pick Tommy Maddox.
Tommy Gunn, even though Bradshaw has more Super Bowls, we all agree that Ben is the better quarterback. Yeah, so I don't really think there's much.
You know what's funny is her bringing up Tommy Maddox. It'd be funny to see how far down he even is, because it's probably not even that far down. And, we're making a joke about it.
He's top 5 for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, who's is number 3 Cordell? I
think. If not, it's a guy from way back.
I don't really know. It's like you got Bradshaw in the 70s. Ben's been since 2004.
This brings up a good point.
And there was a whole there's just a whole mess in between of just mediocre quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean, Neil O'Donnell went to a Super Bowl.
That's right.
But I don't know. I mean, yeah, that'd be tough. That would have been tougher for us to list a third quarterback in Steelers history.
Yeah.
But yeah, 1 and 2 are obviously Ben and Bradshaw. I understand with what we're saying. I picked Ben, so obviously I agree that he's the better quarterback in franchise history. But it's a completely different game now. I mean, who knows what Bradshaw would have been if he were, part of an air raid NFL. But who knows what he would have been also without the weapons that he had.
Who knows what he would have been without that defense either.
Yeah. But, I mean, the fact that he has 4 Super Bowls, I think if somebody has the opinion that it is Bradshaw, just because of that, I don't know that I would necessarily argue it, even though it differs from my opinion. I really wouldn't have a problem with somebody saying that they're going with Bradshaw. I think that it would depend, too, what generation you're part of as well. I think that's
older generation would probably be typically. I mean, we have a more recency bias because, Ben's our quarterback growing up. I mean, he became our quarterback whenever Smitty and I were 9 and Herb was 7. So,
crazy. It's funny. The NFL actually just put that video out from their draft day with Eli Rivers and him.
Oh.
Like that whole because Eli didn't want to play for the Chargers and made it known, and they still picked him. They went up to the podium and picked him, and then they had to trade him. And then the Chargers got Rivers, which is technically like the 4th overall pick, even though the Giants had selected him. So, excuse me. So the Giants got Eli out of it, and the Chargers got like Rivers, a 3rd-round pick, a 1st-round pick the following year, and a 5th-round pick the following year. And then we got Ben just sitting at 11 because the Browns didn't take him at 10 like people thought they were going to.
Yeah. So I've always heard this story that Cowher wanted to take a lineman. Is that true?
I can't remember what his name, but he's actually like by name the player that Cowher wanted to take. I can't think of who it was. And he actually did make a couple Pro Bowls, but I think his career only lasted like 7 seasons or something.
Oh, really?
Like that. So, yeah.
Well, good thing Cowher didn't make that pick then.
Yeah. Okay, so going to running back, I think that there's, a couple options here. Do you go with longevity here or success individually or team success, a combination of all the things? I think there's a case for a few guys. But I went with Jerome Bettis. I could see an argument for Franco, and I could see an argument for Le'Veon, to be honest with you. And those would be the guys that, I think that will probably get brought up. But I went with Jerome. He kind of fits the old school style of the NFL that we don't really see anymore. He would probably not be a successful running back in today's game. But really one of like the last true power backs that we saw in the NFL. A short yardage back, even at the end of his career, was still successful in that role. And obviously Super Bowl 40 getting to win the Super Bowl in Detroit, which people think was fixed, to cap off a fantastic career. Wasn't always a Steeler. He came over to us from the Rams. But, I picked him as my running back.
BB?
I picked Franco. I mean, it was a tough choice. I was deciding between him and Jerome, and I just decided to go Franco. He won 4 Super Bowl. He's top 15 in rushing yards. The only skid mark, I guess you could say, on his career is that he I don't know what other word to use, Herb. Okay, is that he went to Seattle for like 1 year.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, besides that, he's like a Steeler for life. I mean, even though there's a lot of things I don't like about the guy personally. And a lot of that has to do with where he went to college.
Just college times. Yeah.
But and it's not even just the college. It's his. It's a lot of his opinions about things that went on in the college. But
there it is.
Yeah. But
see, that's what I thought you were going to say as far as like a blemish on his career.
No. Just that he didn't finish his career as a Steeler. He went to Seattle for like 1 year. But besides that, yeah, I went with Franco. But either him or Jerome, I don't think is a bad pick.
Yeah, I did the same thing as Beefy. Came to the same conclusion. Franco's mine, and Bettis is a very close second, 1B, if you will, for the exact same reasons. So,
yeah, and then you could say with Jerome, you could say without Ben, he doesn't win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, he almost cost them their.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He fumbled. If Ben doesn't tackle him, then they don't win that Super Bowl.
I'll have to tell you that story whenever we're not
now,
recording.
Did Le'Veon cross your mind at all, or was it just between those two?
It was really just between those two. I was really looking at the longevity. Even though Le'Veon, if you're going by just skill, he's probably better than both.
Absolutely.
But Le'Veon was here for – 5 seasons? So I just looked at the longevity of the team. Franco was with the Steelers from 72 to 81, and Jerome was with the team from 95 to 2005 or 94 to 2005 or something like that. I don't know exactly, but like they both had longer careers, so Le'Veon didn't really cross my mind just because of the longevity with the team.
He crossed my mind for sure. Like Beefy said, it was mostly longevity. He's definitely the superior athlete, way more athletic than both of them, obviously. But yeah, same. Funny enough, Beefy and I agree on something.
And I mean, not that this matters individually, but the other two were on Super Bowl winning teams. Le'Veon wasn't. We saw like what became the killer bees. Like they never amounted to anything. So it's kind of, I don't know.
Also, before we keep going, I said it before, I'll say it again to repeat myself. We did these lists in advance. We don't really have like the numbers or anything in front of us, so our reasoning is going to be a little shot. So don't come at us.
See, Yeah, like when I was picking these, I was going based off numbers and everything like that, obviously. But
Yeah.
I didn't like copy those stats over to my page that I'm looking at.
Yeah, no,
So
it's like for the defense, they're not defensemen, just the defensive players. I was looking at like tackles and sacks and all that crap. I can't name any of that right now, but I have them on my list. Like I have the names on my list.
And like anybody that knows me or has listened to the show for a period of time, I was never the biggest football fan for a very long time, and just these past 3 years that we've been doing this is when I've gotten into it. So please don't kill me.
It kind of made you.
Yeah, but now.
Okay, so now receivers, and I think this is where it's getting kind of interesting. We let each other have some leeway with how we were going to do these. Ultimately, obviously, it's 11 on each side. I assume that you guys also picked 3 receivers.
Yeah, I picked 3.
Okay. Now, why I say it's going to get interesting is because I think that there's probably like a Mount Rushmore of Steelers receivers that it's relatively easy to pick who those guys are.
Yeah.
But we only picking 3, so one of those guys is going to get left off.
The question is which one?
I'll start with Hines Ward as one of my guys. Still as the all-time Steelers receiving leader, so he has to be on the list. Was he on? Did he go to the? No, was he still on the team when they lost to Green Bay?
Yeah,
in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So went to 3 Super Bowls. 1, 2, Super Bowl MVP as well, right?
Yep, 2005.
So I mean. Yeah, I still think that a lot of people view him as the greatest Steelers receiver of all time, and that's not just because of the stats as well. I think he kind of fits the mold. Very physical receiver, one of the best blocking wide receivers of all time. Juju Smith-Schuster talked about molding that part of his game after him. So Hines Ward was one guy that I definitely picked. As far as the other 2, that's where it got kind of tough. I did put Antonio Brown on my list. I know that a lot of people, want to pretty much erase his name from Steelers history, but he's the most talented receiver that we've ever had in the organization. So, as far as like the off-field stuff, the way that the marriage ended and everything like that, it is what it is. But I think he's undoubtedly one of the top receivers that we've ever had on this team. And I think he's in the top 3, which is kind of like where I say it's going to get interesting because one of these next 2 are going to get left off, the 2 that played together between Stallworth and Swann, and I picked Stallworth. And the reason I picked Stallworth is we kind of talked about the longevity of things, right? And he played 5 more seasons than Swann did. They both made 4 Pro Bowls. And even a lot of this, having not watched that, I kind of lean on my dad for things like these, and he always thought that Stallworth was the better receiver. I think that, that argument could go both ways. You guys both might have Swann over Stallworth, or you might have both, and one of those 2 guys I mentioned at the beginning left off. But for me, I went Stallworth over Swann. Really, it was a coin flip, and for me, it just came down to the fact that Stallworth played for us for 5 more seasons than Swann did.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, guess what? I don't have a different receiver than you. Those are my exact 3. Yeah, I picked Hines Ward. He's the all-time leading receiver. He caught exactly 1,000 passes, right?
I think.
Oh, did he? Okay.
I think it was exactly 1,000.
Now that you're saying it, I do remember that being like a thing.
Yeah, I think he caught exactly 1,000 passes, over 12,000 yards. Yeah, Super Bowl MVP. I took that into consideration. He was my favorite wide receiver growing up. So I put him on. Yeah, so I put him on. Antonio Brown, even though the off-field stuff, like you said, that doesn't really affect what he did on the field as a Steeler. And as a Steeler, he was the best wide receiver in the league for 5+ years, and he had the best 5 years as a receiver ever when he was a Steeler, and most talented receiver for sure that the Steelers have ever had. So he's on there. And I kind of went the same thing with you, where I've heard people say Stallworth was better than Swann, and he had a longer longevity with the team. And so that's really the reason I picked Stallworth over Swann, even though Swann is definitely deserving of being in the top 3 as well.
So I'm actually surprised that all 3 of us agreed on that.
So you have the same thing.
Yes. But there was one more name that crossed my mind that probably shouldn't have, and that's Mike Wallace.
I thought you were going to say Santonio Holmes because he also has a Super Bowl MVP.
Are we allowed to throw up on here?
Now, saying Randall L. did cross my mind, just as a joke.
If we were putting like a punt returner.
Or just trick plays.
Yeah, if we're getting like a utility guy like we are for baseball in this or something.
Can't believe we all agreed on wide receivers.
I know.
Yeah, like I said, I think that there's like a Mount Rushmore that it's pretty easy to figure out who those 4 are for Steelers history, and then to try to narrow it down to 3 for what we're talking about here. It was tough, and really like Hines Ward and AB were my first 2, and then I knew one of the other 2 spots was going to be filled by one of those 2 receivers, and like I said, it just came down to the fact that Stallworth played longer, and ultimately because of that had 12 more touchdowns than Swan finished with. So, but yeah, moving on. Did either of you guys pick a fullback or no?
I didn't pick a fullback. No.
Okay. Okay, so tight end.
I feel like that's really easy.
I don't know if,
I feel like it's really easy.
Yeah. Do you have? Let's play a audio right now. No, from the Steelers
What are you asking
crowd.
me to do
No,
here?
it's got to be Heath. I don't know who.
It's not Nick Vannett.
I don't know who you are. I don't know who you would argue with number 2. Don't get me started on Nick Vannett right now. We traded a 5th-round pick for 126 receiving yards or something like that, 12 catches. But anyway, if it's not Heath, I don't know who it is. I'm not sure if we were picking multiple tight ends who my number 2 would be.
Yeah.
I would have to go back quite a while. So Heath's my guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he's there's really no argument. I don't see how anybody can argue.
Yeah.
Well, that was easy.
No, this work it's a little hard.
Okay, so linemen.
That's what she said.
Did you guys pick straight up 5 linemen?
I picked center, guard, tackle.
Yeah, that's what I did. At least from what they're listed as on, I think it was Football DB.
Okay, so let's start on the outsides. 2 tackles. Going through and when I was looking at Steelers offensive linemen, it was very tough because, I think that there's an argument to be made that 3 of their top 4 all-time offensive linemen are centers. So, and you go through and you're looking for tackles and you're like, wow, the tackle history is not great for the Pittsburgh Steelers. There's only like 3 names that I was able to take and narrow it down to 2. I went with Tunch Ilkin on one side, still very present in the Pittsburgh community, obviously, does pre-game stuff and everything like that for the Steelers. So I got him on one side, and my other one is Larry Brown. And we just talked about tight ends. He was actually honored last year at Heinz Field. He was a converted tight end. They really wasn't working out there. They converted him to tackle and went on to have a pretty decent career there, obviously. So between those 2 and Marvell Smith, those were like the 3 guys I was deciding between. Marvell Smith actually made a Pro Bowl, so it was kind of like, should he be over these 2 guys? But Larry Brown and Tunch Ilkin, I would say, probably still had the better overall careers, even though Marvell Smith had like the one really good season. So yeah, Tunch Ilkin and Larry Brown were my 2 tackles.
All right, well, I chose Marvell Smith as one of mine.
Okay.
I mean, he like you mentioned that he went to a Pro Bowl in 2004, I think it was, and he was a 2-time Super Bowl champ with us. So I definitely weighed into my decision. And then the other one is John Kolb.
Okay.
And yeah, so he was back on the Steelers in the 70s, and he was a 4-time Super Bowl champion. He was a All-Pro in 1979, and he's on the Pittsburgh Steelers all-time team. So I picked him as my other tackle. He was also the Steelers' left tackle at the time, so he was protecting Bradshaw's blind side. So.
Which, still at that time wasn't even thought to be that big of a deal. Yeah. It wasn't until the Joe Theismann injury where it was like, oh wow, left tackle is a very important position, and started to be paid handsomely. But okay, go ahead, Herb.
So if I remember right, I'm trying to look it up now. On Football DB, the tackles for some reason were listed, or DeCastro was listed under tackle.
Okay.
Can you confirm or deny this?
I deny that.
He's never played a game of tackle in the pros.
Okay. So in that case, sorry, trying to fix my computer here. The 2 I picked there were Max Starks and Ramon Foster.
When did Foster play tackle?
I don't know, but that's what he's listed as.
Is everybody listed as a tackle on this website?
Supposedly.
Foster played guard.
What am I listing?
It has two subsections: offensive guards and offensive tackles. But that's what they were under. Again, recency bias.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if they're listed on there, I can't disprove it. If it's listed on a website as that, I don't know. I mean, okay, match starts. Yeah, some very bad offensive lines that Ben had to deal with early in his career, but he was kind of like a staple for those. It was never really him that was that bad. Just overall, the unit was terrible. And as far as Ramon Foster, what I've seen him play, he had a pretty good career at guard.
I was like, pretty good guard. I don't know about tackle.
Yeah, I don't know why it's listed like that, but
all right. Well, since you brought up a guard, let's just move on to guards.
Yeah.
I'll go first with those. The one obvious choice I feel like all of us will have is Alan Faneca.
Oh yeah.
He
should be in the Hall of Fame right now.
So I was gonna say he should be in the Hall of Fame, but we'll probably take another year. They just didn't want too many Steelers getting in all in 1 year. With him, it would have been like
yeah, it's just
4.
To see Steve Hutchinson get in before him. Not that I have no problem with him making the Hall of Fame, but it's the fact that he got in before Faneca, pretty much for the reason you mentioned, that it would have been 4 Steelers going into the Hall of Fame at one time. So yeah, it is what it is.
Can't have too many in the Hall at once. And then the other one currently playing still, David DeCastro.
Yeah,
I feel like he's the second best guard. Yep,
by far.
He's probably been the most consistent lineman the Steelers have had in recent years. Even though Pouncey's probably their best lineman, Pouncey has had health issues that he can't stay on the field sometimes, and so DeCastro, I'd say, is probably their most consistent one.
Yeah, I mean, you can. I did that people have varying opinions of Pro Football Focus, everything like that, but David DeCastro regularly grades out in the top 5 guards in football by them. Multiple Pro Bowls, all pro teams. So, yeah, even though he's still playing, you look back on their history of guards, and it's really like Alan Faneca, and then take your pick with the rest of the field. But David DeCastro, with the career that he's putting together, still, as of right now, still playing at a high level, I think that he belongs there as the other guard.
Yep.
Completely agreed.
Now this is where it's interesting because, as I mentioned, 3 of the top 4 like offensive linemen of all time, you could argue, are centers. So, you have Mike Webster, Dermontti Dawson, and still playing right now, Maurkice Pouncey, as we just mentioned. I went with Mike Webster.
I went with Mike Webster as well. I feel like he's the most consistently looked at as the best center in Steelers history. So it's a pretty easy pick right there.
So of course I'm the different one here.
That's good. That's good.
I mean, I went with Dermontti Dawson. So
okay. Oh, okay. Well, I thought you were going to say you went with Pouncey.
No,
just because of recency bias. Mike Webster was a phenomenal center, but what his name is mainly thought of is with CTE because he was the first case that was diagnosed.
Oh yeah.
And there's been stories about that. Obviously, there's a movie where it gets mentioned that he was the first one. But yeah, phenomenal player, most Pro Bowls and all pro selections among any Pittsburgh Steelers offensive lineman. So yeah, Mike Webster was my guy, but I have no problem with Dermontti Dawson. As I mentioned, if you Google top Pittsburgh Steelers offensive lineman of all time, they will regularly come up Mike Webster 1 and Dermontti Dawson 2. They just happen to play the same position. So it is what it is, but I think you can make a case for either one. Okay, was that all for offense?
I believe so.
Yeah,
it was 11.
Okay, so going to defense, once again, interesting to decide how we were going to get to 11 guys here. Are you going with like a 4-3 alignment, 3-4 alignment? A lot of defenses nowadays, you have to have that slot nickel cornerback. So did you pick 3 cornerbacks? I did not. I went with 3 defensive linemen, 2 outside linebackers, 2 inside linebackers, 2 corners, and 2 safeties.
All right, so Smitty and I did the same exact thing.
Herb, how did you align your defense?
3 linemen, 1 middle backer, 2 outside backers, 3 corners, and then 2 safeties.
Okay, so that's how. Well, at least with the way that 3 down linemen and 3 linebackers. Did you say?
One middle linebacker.
Yeah,
but 3 linebackers overall, right?
Yeah.
2. Okay. Yeah, well, the way that the Steelers played the defense in the 70s when they had like the real good linebackers was just three linebackers.
Yeah.
So that's why it was like tough for me because I was looking for like another inside linebacker besides Jack Lambert. And I was like, all of their best linebackers in history played on the outside. So it was very tough for me to get two inside linebackers. So I almost wish that I would have gone with a different alignment. But I stuck with what I was doing. So just starting off on the D line, I mean, we're all going to have Joe Green. You know, the only numbers right now still retired by the Steelers. Best Pittsburgh Steeler of all time is definitely, you know, he's on the Mount Rushmore at least of Pittsburgh Steelers. The argument's definitely there for best Pittsburgh Steeler of all time. So I assume that we all three have Joe Green on our defensive line. I also put L.C. Greenwood, also a defensive lineman during the Steel Curtain years. One of the best of all time for the Steelers, especially on the defensive line. And then I do have a current Steeler on there. Cam Hayward was my third guy on the defensive line. Once again, just talking about, even though he's still playing right now, you look at the trajectory and you can assume that he's going to surpass some of these guys, these all-time greats in Steelers history. So those are my three guys. Once again, Joe Green, Greenwood, and Cam Hayward.
All right, so I'll go. Obviously, Joe Green. No dispute there. Yeah. And then I went with Ernie Stautner.
Okay.
If you recognize that name.
I saw when I was – honestly, I couldn't tell you who that was. Like, sorry for the older Steelers fans that are listening, or, like, historians that are like, how does this guy not know who he is if he's a Steelers fan?
Yeah.
But I would not have known who that was until I was, like, doing research for this.
Yeah, and like, don't expect me to give you like any stats or awards. Yeah. Like, I just looked this up at 3 a.m. last night. Okay, this is my list. So Ernie Stautner was my second one, and then I went with Casey Hampton. I chose a nose tackle.
Oh, and you know who's really gonna like that is our very loyal listener Tyler Hurdley. He's a Casey Hampton stan. So
so obviously. I bring up that I know Chris Hoke, so I get to talk to him, and he said that Casey Hampton, because they both played nose tackle, so he says Casey Hampton was the most dominant like force he's ever seen on a football field, just because of the mass of a human that.
Yeah, that man is the size of a meteor.
Yeah, he said that. So Chris Hoke said he would have to work to be like 315, 320, and to like. He'd be his backup, basically. He had to work to be that big. Because if you look at him now, he's not that big.
No,
he said Casey Hampton was naturally – he's just like a 380-pound man, and he's just a unit. And he just clogged up the middle. And he – like, for that defense in the, like, mid-2000s, no one could, like, go up the middle on the Steelers, and he was part of the reason. And so I picked him as one of my three.
See, I definitely had L.C. Greenwood and Casey Hampton in mind. Obviously, we all want Joe Green. I went with Cam Hayward as well, and Aaron Smith.
Oh, see, I like that. I think he's like one of the more underappreciated Steelers of all time. Like, I feel like his name never gets mentioned
at all.
But he's one of my favorites. I think like he's my most unsung Steeler. He might be my most unsung Steeler of all time. No one ever really talks about him. He was part of some great defenses and was always an impactful player. His helmet was always too small, but great player.
Yeah, I also thought about Kiesel, but he didn't crack my top three. But he's another one that's like an all-time Steeler.
And that's the thing. If you're taking into consideration like everything, like the impact that Brett Kiesel still has to this day on the Steelers, like and everything like that, the community. I mean, you can make a case for him for at least overall like Pittsburgh Steelers, not necessarily like as a just on the football field as one of the top defensive linemen of all time.
Yeah,
but embodying what Pittsburgh is for sure.
Another BYU guy, by the way.
Yeah,
just saying.
Okay, so linebackers, as I mentioned, like inside linebackers is kind of tough for me, just because like all the best Steelers linebackers of all time, besides Jack Lambert, were outside linebackers.
Yeah.
So Jack Lambert was obviously one of my guys. My second one, I went with an argument could be made that this guy was their best free agent signing of all time, James Ferrier. What?
Wait,
I'm assuming that's your other one.
Yeah, that's mine too.
Yeah. James Ferrier is another guy, like, as I just mentioned with Aaron Smith, doesn't really get talked about a lot. And, would he be on here if we were just picking four linebackers? Probably not. I think if you're just looking if you Google like top Steelers linebackers of all time, he comes up like 7-8 range. But specifically for middle linebackers, behind Jack Lambert, you could bring in, 3 or 4 names probably of guys that were, okay. Maybe they made a Pro Bowl or two like James Farrior did, but there's no like real standouts at the other position behind Jack Lambert. So it's kind of like a coin toss as well. So with Farrior, obviously, winning Super Bowls. He made a couple Pro Bowls as well. And just his impact in general, playing on some really good defenses. So.
All right. So let me ask you this. So I went with Farrior as well, same reasons. And when I was looking at middle linebackers, even though he didn't have the longevity, did Ryan Shazier cross your mind?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, actually, Herb and I were talking about before we started this, because I mentioned the same thing about how much trouble I was having with the other inside linebacker besides Lambert. And, yeah, I mean, he made just one Pro Bowl. You were just kind of like going based off what you had seen so far, hoping that potential would continue to cause like that upward trajectory that we were seeing from Ryan Shazier. Because, when I'm not going to say when his career was put on halt, at least, as I mentioned, he had made just one Pro Bowl, and you still like saw some of the mistakes that, you would like to see cleaned up. He was always around the play, but not finishing it. But yeah, I mean, that's tough because you feel like Ryan Shazier was really going to be a really good player for the Steelers for a really long time. And unfortunately it got at least put on halt. So he crossed my mind, but I went with Farrior because we at least got to see how his entire career played out. And it was a very good one. So Herb mentioned Shazier, though. I don't know if he ended up putting him on there, but
no. So like I said, I went with one inside backer.
And
that was Jack Lambert.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you mentioned, we talked before. I think even Tyler came in here. Even though he didn't have a healthy season, and it was for such a short amount of time, he was on pace to be one of, if not the best, inside backers in Steelers history. At least in my opinion. Could be wrong.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the most athletically gifted linebacker. And now we're trying to replace that with Devin Bush.
Yeah.
But yeah, what the hopes that we had for Ryan Shazier. He was one of my favorite players, as you mentioned, like just the ascension that he was on, really feeling like this guy has the potential to be one of the best linebackers in the game for a long period of time, just because he had tools that just a lot of guys don't have. The speed that he brought to the table at that position, just really a lot of guys don't have, and it's you can't teach it. So
again, a freak athlete,
instinctually too.
Yeah, I remember seeing him videos of him racing the wide receivers.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, and then on the outside, a little bit tougher. Yeah, a little bit tougher, as I mentioned, with how many good pass rushers we've had from those positions. Jack Ham was one of my guys, as I mentioned. That was back when the Steelers played with just one guy in the middle, and Jack Lambert would have Jack Ham and Andy Russell on the outside. And Andy Russell's a guy that I think you might have been able to make a case for. But my other outside linebacker, I went with James Harrison. One of the most dominant stretches of football we've seen from a defensive player of all time in his tenure here with the Steelers, winning Defensive Player of the Year, winning Super Bowl. Fantastic player. That short stretch, is it good enough to get him in the Hall of Fame? I don't know. But at least for a period of time, he was the best defensive player in football. So it's hard to leave a guy like that off your list. There could be a case, like I said, for Andy Russell, Joey Porter. Even though he was only a Steeler for like 3 seasons, Kevin Green's one of the best pass rushers of all time, even though a lot of that wasn't with the Steelers. So, but yeah, Jack Ham and why did I just forget his name? I don't know. James Harrison.
Yeah. So I had,
and a lot of people might have a problem with that just because of, going to the Patriots. He was originally a Raven, and then he also left for the Bengals at a point during his career too. But James Harrison is definitely one of the best pass rushers of all time, and his best stretch of football was here in Pittsburgh. So,
yeah, I have James Harrison as well. He's this team's all-time sack leader.
He was a freak.
Yeah, he was a freak for like a 3 or 4 year span. He was a freak.
He still is.
When it comes to lifting weights, he's a freak.
As a human,
maybe as a human, not as an outside linebacker though. He was washed at the end of his career.
Well,
but then. I had a tough choice with the last one. I mean, Jack Ham was the obvious choice. but I think just like based off of pure skill, I think I went with Kevin Green. So that was my 2, and I know a lot of like older Steeler fans are gonna kill me for that because I love Jack Ham off of like the all-time defense. But even though he didn't play as long with the Steelers, I just think if he had played as long as Ham, he would have had just as big of an impact, if not more, as a defender. So I just went with Kevin Green. Plus, it gets to be a different list than all your guys', so that helps.
Okay. So I'm going to catch flack for this one, but I'm also betting on myself and everything I've said for the past, 4 or 5 years now. I went with James Harris as number 1. Jack Ham was my number 3. TJ Watt's my 2nd.
Okay.
And that's not going up. Well, I mean, you could theoretically say going off of now, but I've said it since he was drafted. He will be better than his brother. He is better than his brother. And I think by the end of it, he might be better than James Harrison if he stays healthy.
Yeah, it's tough. I think that like at least right now, TJ would probably be like my number 4 outside linebacker, and that's already
which is still incredibly high.
Yeah. As far as the other stuff, I think that him and his brother, like even though they're both edge rushers, they don't play the exact same position.
Yeah.
You know, JJ plays down on the line, his hand in the dirt, and rushes the passer.
And he's also opposed
to TJ coming off the edge, but not, you know, putting his hand in the dirt, just as an outside linebacker. Also plays in coverage a lot as well. But yeah, it's tough too because he has more opportunity to rush the passer too than a lot of these guys, like with the way that the game's played now, with as many times as teams are throwing per game. Yeah, so, you know, back when we go back to all these other guys, these outside linebackers that register these crazy sack numbers, and that was with teams passing, you know, less than 30 times a game.
Mm-hmm.
So while I agree, like TJ's on the trajectory to be the all-time sack leader for the Steelers, it's just, I mean, there's a lot of factors to take in consideration, and I think, like, at least for right now, I would still have him behind Ham, Harrison, probably still Porter, at least for right now. And then I think that he'll end up passing a lot of those guys and end up like 1 or 2.
Yeah. So, like, at least for me, like I said, when it came down to it, Jack Ham and Joey Porter were definitely in consideration for that second spot. Like, I knew James Harrison had to be in there. But also, again, like I said, it's been something I've been saying. I will continue to keep saying. I will hammer home until it is spoken into existence.
Fair enough.
Fair to be honest.
All right. Do you want to do corners or safeties first?
Yeah, let's go corners.
Yeah. I think this one might be a little all over the place.
I believe Herb picked 3, though, so he's one more than us.
I did. So you guys go first.
Okay, so my 2, I would say that they're, for me personally, I feel like it's fairly obvious. Rod Woodson, and you know, it's kind of a shame the way that the end of his Steelers career happened, ended up playing in Baltimore after being cut by the Steelers. But still,
Super Bowl.
To me, you know, he's 1 or 2 when you talk about Steelers corners of all time, with the other being Mel Blount. So, you know, it's weird because I didn't realize I see a lot of people say, and I'm not like, you know, talking about people that watch those teams or people that are, you know, actually have any intelligence when it comes to the Steelers. I see a lot of people that think like Mel Blount was a safety, and I'm like, what?
No.
Yeah. They might
I saw a few things that like listed him as both. Like it said like safety / corner.
Have you ever met Mel?
What?
Have you met Mel Blount at all in your life?
No.
The man's hands are the size of my head. He's insane.
That explains a lot.
Yeah.
He's one of the top 2 corners in Steelers history.
Yeah.
Still rocking that cowboy hat too.
Yep.
All right, so to lead off mine, I got Artie Burns. No, just
no, that's another list we're doing.
Yeah, Mel Blount, Rod Woodson. No argument. I don't really know what other corner would you say is a number 3?
Well, Herb did 3, so.
So my third, and this is going to be this one. I'm going to take shots for, but just going through the players and also again recency bias. Ike Taylor.
I like it. Honestly, I thought you were going to say like Joe Hayden.
No.
And Ike Taylor and potentially Deshae Townsend would both come to mind before him.
Yeah, Deshae Townsend did cross my mind, but just didn't.
You know, Ike Taylor, matched up with so many number one wide receivers and shut them down.
Yeah.
He still took hate because he couldn't catch the ball.
I know.
I think he's just so underrated when it comes to Steeler fans.
Absolutely.
Like, they don't appreciate what he was on that defense.
Even as it got later in his career, like when he was matched up with guys like AJ Green, like he was still locking up number one corners. And it wasn't until like his last season, like 2014, when you could tell that it was time for him to hang him up. And he did.
Washed.
Yeah.
Or to Jamal.
But no, I like Ike Taylor as the number 3. Like I would have to go back and try to find somebody who I would potentially match up to take that third spot. But like, yeah, Rod Woodson and Mel Blount have to be 1 and 2 in my opinion.
Like Rod Woodson was just so good. Mel Blount's just a freak of a human. So fast and so big.
Okay, so safeties again. I'm not sure that we're going to see much debate here. I'll ask a question first. Did both of your safeties go into the Hall of Fame this year?
One of them did for sure. I have to double check the other one.
Did Donnie Shell go into the Hall of Fame this year?
I was about to say, yeah.
Then yes.
Yeah, so Troy Polamalu and Donnie Shell, they both are going into the Hall of Fame this year. As I think Donnie Shell was part of like that same thing with Cowher, like the Centennial class, the special inductions. But we just talked about all the Steelers going in and probably why Faneca isn't. And Donnie Shell is, along with Coach Cowher and Troy, is part of that. Yeah, I mean, there's, like I said, like we mentioned before, excuse me, I'm not like looking at his stats as we speak. But the fact that he's a Hall of Famer, I mean, I don't know another safety who would potentially be here with Troy if it wasn't Donnie Shell. Ryan Clark?
I was going to say Ryan Clark is probably the first thing to come to mind for me. But
honestly, if you didn't ask if both of them made the Hall of Fame and just went through it normally, I was going to jab and just say Morgan Burnett.
Morgan Burnett, dude. Yeah.
Very bad.
No, but seriously, like we know that the Steelers' defensive back history isn't that great. And you go through it, and we think it's just like a recency thing, but really, like historically, I mean, a couple of years we might be talking about Minkah Fitzpatrick instead of Donnie Shell.
Honestly, yeah.
But for right now, I mean, it's got to be Donnie Shell, 2 Hall of Famers.
Now, did you guys pick a kicker?
No.
I picked a punter and a kicker.
I could not pick a punter for the life of me.
Yikes.
My punter, his name is Bobby Walden. And I picked him because he went to a Pro Bowl. And he's probably the only Steelers punter to ever go to the Pro Bowl. So,
who was the punter during the Super Bowls?
What's Super Bowl?
Sepulveda.
Like? Daniel Sepulveda?
Yeah. That would probably be mine. Just because.
He was he was like a converted linebacker.
Yeah.
Like you could tell that he liked to hit people.
Yeah. So I punter. I just looked up. Top punters all time Steelers, and I saw it listed the top 100 players or top 100 something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know what the actual list was. It was like top 100 Steelers, I guess, and he was like 100.
Oh.
It was like and the list said, of course we're going to start it off with a punter. And it was Bobby Walden. And he was like, he went to a Pro Bowl in whatever year. And I'm like, all right, that's my punter. I don't care.
Enough.
And then kicker.
You have to.
I actually, what? I have to put.
It has to be Jeff Reed, right?
I went with Chris Boswell.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, his 5 years with the Steelers, he's got the highest field goal percentage of any kicker.
That is true.
I'm gonna go with Josh Miller as my punter.
Yeah,
from 93.7 The Fan.
Yes, that Josh Miller.
Really, not much reasoning behind it, other than the fact like knowing our recent punters.
I mean, Jordan Berry's not bad, but
no, it's funny because if you look up like best Steelers punters of all time, I think he has like the highest net average of all time for the Steelers punters. Still,
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
But as far as kickers, yeah, it would be between those two. I'm gonna go with Boswell though. Obviously Reed has the winning Super Bowls, but like as Beefy mentioned, Boswell's the most accurate, and that's taking into consideration the terrible year he had 2 years ago. So,
yeah, he's still the most accurate if you include that year.
That's actually really impressive.
So
Because he had 2 years where he was automatic.
Yeah, his field goal percentage is his career is 87%. I think Reed's is like 82.
No, so it's close. There's an argument.
Yeah, but I mean,
I don't seem that dumb.
No, but like when he comes to, I feel like field goal percentage is kind of like, if you relate it to hockey, it's kind of like save percentage.
Yeah.
Like 10% is like huge.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I don't know. Boswell's my kicker.
That's fair.
I didn't really spend much time on it. I just looked up field goal percentage for a couple.
I didn't have him at all until we talked about it. So.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay, right, so let's talk about the Penguins.
This I'm surprised we agreed with so much on the Steelers. This is where I think it might get a little weird.
Yeah, we were talking about how bad the left wings were.
I wanted to talk about the Penguins last just because of the wingers. But I don't care.
We have to do Pirates last because I may legitimately be dead after this.
To save his last segment for last.
All right, that's fine.
Okay, so centers, I feel like it's going to be easy for at least 3 of them. We actually had a discussion when we were like testing out Zoom about the 4th center.
Yeah.
But I assume we all have Lemieux, Crosby, Malkin.
Yes.
Centers. Now for the 4th one, I had to do like a lot of research on this because I wasn't even sure like how much center he had played, but he won a Selke Award playing center here. So that I'm not sure exactly how many games he played at center or whatever, but I went with Ron Francis. Obviously we know what Ron Francis did here also with Carolina though. Still he's to be the first GM for the Seattle team, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So still in the hockey world. I mean, I really don't have much else to say.
Maybe not the best GM though.
Huh?
No, wait. He got a Niederreiter, right? For Carolina?
Oh.
He did. That was good. That was good for like half a season, and then last season, I shouldn't say last season because technically the season's not over. But this season, the Niederreiter has been buns.
Yeah, and then he signed Victor Rask, that horrible deal.
Yeah. So
Ron Francis, Hall of Famer, 2-time Cup winner, 3-time Lady Byng, and like I said, 94-95 he won the Selke. In his career, 549 goals, 1,249 assists, 1,798 points. Oh, wow. To show how stupid plus minus is, he was a -18 player.
Yeah,
but
plus minus is not a good
obviously
stat.
not all those games came in a Penguins jersey. He was with Hartford before the Penguins and Carolina after. But, yeah, he had a great career in Pittsburgh still. I mean, there was 2 seasons where he led the league in assists as well.
Oh, wow. So, I actually didn't know that. I will say my 4th is definitely going to be different from I think both of you, if I remember right. It's Greg Malone.
Yeah, it is different because I've got Ron Francis as well.
Fair enough.
You were talking about, I know who you would end up going with. I mean, I know that we threw out Jordan Stahl's name.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a case.
Yeah, I think there's a case for Stahl, but yeah, I went with Ron Francis.
Yeah.
Just if you want to throw out like just cups, like Nick Bonino, spent 2 seasons here, won 2 cups.
Yeah. I'm sure somebody somewhere has him as their number 4 or whatever.
If you're just going by cups, couldn't you say Matt Cullen too?
Yeah.
Hey.
Well.
All right, so let's do right wing first.
Yeah.
I feel like that one is easier than left wing.
So much easier.
Yeah. I like part of me wishes that we would have just said wingers, not just like right wing, left wing. Because finding left wings was so hard.
I wouldn't say it was hard, but
no, it was hard. It was hard. At 3 a.m. last night, it was hard.
Oh well.
So right wing, I had Yager, Rick Kehoe. Is it Jean Pronovo?
I think so. I don't know if the ST is silent or not, but
I think it is. I think it's a French name. And then this last one, I went with Phil Kessel.
I have Phil Kessel on my 4.
Yep.
Nice.
It's funny that I don't have 2 of the ones you just said though.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So for this was looking at stats, but I was also using a website called Ranker. And I was taking a lot of things into consideration, but I do have 2 of the same. I have Yager and I have Kessel. I'm not saying that they're like 1 and 2, but I have them as 2 of the right wingers. My other 2, Rick Tocchet is one of them. And I have a feeling that there's going to be a lot of questions about this 4th one, but he was actually listed only under Yager on Ranker among right wingers. He had more than one stint here. Mark Recchi.
There's a case. There's absolutely a case for Mark Recchi.
All right, so you know how Herb said that I can just say screw it on my last left wing and just pick a winger? Recchi's my other winger.
Oh,
I couldn't come up with a fourth left wing, so I technically have Recchi, but I put Kehoe and Protovo.
You know what's weird is I like Rick Kehoe. I did not even see him on there, which is like, I mean, he definitely had to be, and I just skipped over him. But I probably would have had him on this list.
There was a period of time where they weren't keeping it as left wing, right wing. It was just winger. Or
also, I mean, I just went off like if you look up like top 10 Penguins all time lists, Rick Kehoe and Jean Pronovo are always on those lists. So I took that into consideration as well, even though we never watched them play.
Yeah. Herb, who were yours? Did you say yours yet?
Same as Beefy.
Oh,
I didn't even have to say.
All right. So left wingers we were just talking about.
Left wing one is easy, and the rest I feel like isn't easy.
Yeah.
My left wingers, all of them, if they're not playing right now, they were still playing in like 2011, 2012. So one of mine is current. Jake Dentzel was actually one of my four.
Yeah.
So is mine.
Absolutely.
My other ones would be, one of my left wings is no longer. I was mixing in one of my right wingers. So one of my left wingers is Kevin Stevens. He hasn't been playing for a while.
Yeah.
But my other ones, Alex Kovalev and Chris Kunitz.
Yep.
Wasn't Alex Kovalev a right wing?
He may have been. I think he played both, actually.
He's listed as a left winger on Ranker.
I think he played both.
On Hockey Reference, he's listed as a right wing.
I think predominantly.
That's why I didn't put him.
I think predominantly in his career he played right wing, but I think he had two stints here, right?
Yeah, he came back in that 2011 season. Crosby and Malkin were both hurt in the playoffs.
Yeah. I think his first stint here he predominantly played left wing. I could be wrong.
Well, the only reason I just went off Hockey Reference. If they weren't listed as a left wing on Hockey Reference, I didn't put them on.
That's fair.
He's actually listed as a right wing on Wikipedia too. So.
No.
We were talking about how bad the left wingers were. So.
Yeah. Well, mine was similar. I had Gensel, Stevens, and I had Kunitz as my fourth. My third is Joe Mullen.
Okay.
Also a right winger.
Is he?
Neck roll.
Yeah. I so I have a list of people that I looked up to see
Your phone's keyed out, by the way.
I have a list. Yeah, okay. I have a list of people that I looked up to see if they were right winger or left winger or center, and they were all right winger center that would have made the list over some of my left wing. So I have Kevin Stevens, Gensel. I just put Recchi because I couldn't come up with another left winger according to Hockey Reference, and then I also have James Neal.
Oh man,
I saw him on Ranker. I couldn't do it, but he did have a 40-goal season here.
Yeah,
man. No, I did take an extra forward, and that was Kovalev. So,
but then like some forwards that I looked up that weren't left wingers, but they were like really good was like Sil Apps, Marty Straka, Greg Malone, Alexei Kovalev, Joe Mullen, Alexei Morozov,
Pierre LaRouche. Everybody mentioned Pierre LaRouche.
Yeah. Do you guys like Luke Robitaille played one season with the Penguins?
Yes, he did. I didn't consider that. Same thing with like Tim Horton played a season with the Penguins or something like that.
Yeah, but like if Luke Robitaille would have played more, he probably would have made a bit on it.
Absolutely.
He only played one season, so he couldn't be.
Yeah. Now this is the part where it might get a little different.
I'll preface by saying that I literally just picked.
Yeah.
I literally just picked 6 defensemen. I didn't do like righty lefty.
Yeah, I picked 6 defensemen, and
actually,
I feel like there's 5 that there isn't much of an argument against. At least when I look at them.
So I'm stupid and took a spare defenseman as well. But yeah, I think there's really only an argument for one of those 6 spots.
All right. Well, I'm curious to hear your guys' first then.
All right. So, Letang, Coffey, Larry Murphy, Randy Carlisle, Sergei Gonchar, and Brooks Orpik.
Okay.
I don't have 2 of those.
So
Nice.
that is 6 of my 7. Carlisle's actually my 7th. The only other one was Taglianetti.
Okay, so I'm going to say I have 2 current defensemen.
Is it Brian Dumoulin?
He is one of them.
Okay, that is respectable.
I have Larry Murphy, Chris Letang, Paul Coffey, Sergei Gonchar, Ulf Samuelsson, and Brian Dumoulin.
Did not expect to hear Ulf Samuelsson.
Yeah. Randy Carlisle was definitely a name that I thought of too. And even like looking at their whole bodies of work, I think the only other option besides Randy Carlisle that I left off, I mean, Brooks Orpik, I saw him on rank or 2. I entered my mind a little bit, but Darius Kasparaitis was on there too.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I picked Brian Dumoulin. Already 2 cups.
That's
Let's Chris
completely
Letang
fair.
play the way he does.
Yeah, it's absolutely.
Yeah, I can't argue
fair.
that. I considered Brian Dumoulin, but I didn't.
I mean, we all know how much I love Dumoulin.
Trade.
Yeah, really. Yeah, I definitely had the thought of putting him in over Orpik, but Prime Orpik was so good.
The shift.
I did like Prime Orpik, and that back like
the shift.
When he won the cup in 2009, like with that defensive unit we were just talking about, it's like those guys. There was not like righty lefty matchups. Like that wasn't even like a thing. They just threw out like him and Gonchar as the top pairing, Scuderi and Gill.
And then of all people, what, Mark Eaton and Chris Letang?
Yeah.
God. It was insane. Mark Eaton is another underrated guy. Yeah. Me too.
Huh?
I liked Mark Eaton a lot.
Yeah, very underrated.
Didn't he came back for a second stint too?
Yeah, he did. But he was washed at that point. It was kind of like Scuderi.
Yeah. I mean, luckily it wasn't like for as much money as Scuderi or the term.
Long. Yeah.
But okay, so the goalie. Okay.
You really
goalies can get kind of dicey.
But you only have 3 choices, really.
I know, but picking 2 of 3 can get kind of dicey.
Well, I mean,
to me, there's one obvious one, and then the next one can be one of 2 guys.
All right.
So the obvious one to me is Fleury.
Yes.
But do you all agree?
Yeah. Oh,
he's one of the ones I have on there.
All right. And then you're either picking between Murray or Barrasso.
Yes, and I went with Barrasso. As much as I love Matt Murray, I went with Barrasso.
I still haven't picked my second goalie.
My God.
Well, it's tough for me to pick.
I went with Jeff Zatkoff. No, I'm kidding.
Game 1.
Mr. Game 1.
No, I picked Barrasso.
Yeah.
I wrote down Barrasso, but in my mind, Murray is always just kind of like lingering there.
Yeah.
That's how he is in the organization too.
Yeah. But I don't know.
That's how Casey Smith is right now.
I feel like the decision to pick Barrasso over Murray was closer than I thought it would be.
Oh, absolutely.
I think the thing is too, like Murray has 2 cups, so it's like he's going to be in the conversation for people, and like his very good is very good, but it's also still been such a short stretch.
His very washed is very washed.
and we have seen like the highest of highs and lowest of lows, and it's only been like through the course of a few seasons. Like there really isn't that long of a body of work yet.
Yeah.
It's
a tough choice.
Is
2 cups, but no All-Star appearances.
Which is
fun. I mean, even though it wasn't with the Penguins, Barrasso did win a Calder.
Did he?
Yeah.
Where?
I was
Buffalo.
smiling about the All-Star appearances, by the way, because they don't mean anything.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
Yeah, Barrasso won a Calder, and he won a Vezina.
He did.
Something that Fleury didn't do.
So should Barrasso be the one that's a given, and then you decide between Fleury and Murray?
No.
I feel like we've had this conversation on here before. Was it brought up that every goalie in the Hall of Fame has a Vezina?
Yes, I have brought that up because brought that up because my friend asked me, do I think he'll get into the Hall of Fame? And I think if he won the cup with Vegas, he would be automatically in.
Oh, yeah.
But
Anybody on that team is immediately in the Hall of Fame if they won.
He needs to just keep winning games and maybe win another cup or a Vezina, because no other goalie in the Hall of Fame, all of them have Vezinas.
What's going to happen when Vegas decides that Robin Lehner's their guy?
Yep.
And Fleury ends up as the first goalie for Seattle.
Yep.
And goes to another cup.
And then they go to the cup.
And they go to the cup, and then they lose in Game 6.
That is exactly what I was about to bring up. But with the way he played this year, and I mean, obviously, potentially going forward, not good enough.
No. Yeah, I mean, there's a reason. I mean, with what they gave up, I mean, there's a case to acquire a Robin Lehner anyway, knowing that there was nothing behind Fleury. Yeah. But even over him, he's an upgrade.
I mean, Malcolm Subban's not bad.
Played this year with the way that Fleury's played this year, plus, yeah, I mean, is this the last year of Fleury's deal? Or is it next year?
I think next year.
Because he signed a 3-year extension.
Yeah. Oh, wait, it might have been this year then. I don't know.
He signed a 3-year extension the year that they would have lost. So
that was
he has next year. He has next year. But yeah, so are you sticking with Barrasso then?
Yeah, Barrasso and Fleury.
Okay. That's fair. And we all did.
All right, Herb. It's time to talk about the Pirates.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
No,
I will say I did have honorable mentions in here.
His background right now, but he might not be allowed back ever.
Mine's pretty straightforward, I feel like. But
I do have a couple honorable mentions for a couple positions, just because it was hard to pick.
I don't.
Yeah,
because I don't care about people.
My outfield honorable mentions could have been like a laundry list, because their outfielders were so good. That's where it's tough. I didn't do like center field, left field, and right field either. I just picked 3 outfield spots.
Fair enough.
Okay, so starting at we'll start at catcher.
Yeah, I feel like this one's easy as well.
I have Manny St. Dian.
Oh well, never mind.
Never mind. I have Jason Kendall.
I do too.
Okay. I mean,
Jason
if I were picking, if I were doing like honorable mention as Herb did, that would probably be mine. But I mean, Jason Kendall. The thing with him is he played on some really bad teams.
But he was so good.
He had more success. Maybe his name would be up there among, Pirates. I don't know if I want to say greats, but higher up there when you think about players in Pittsburgh Pirates history. But I don't know, Manny St. Dian, for me, it's just like the team success that they had, as well as the fact that like he's still around the team and everything like that. I did take that in consideration, just because it was a position where I had trouble picking. So yeah, I went with Manny St. Dian.
I mean, that's fair. But yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about guys who had great careers but just played on terrible teams, Brian Giles.
Yeah.
Literally everywhere he went.
Mm-hmm.
So
best hitter in Pirates history, Ward Evil Neal.
Honestly, probably.
Let's relax.
Okay.
You get heat for this next one.
I mean, what am I doing? First base, or you want me to do pitcher?
Let's do first base. We'll do pitchers last.
So first base, in order to be able to fill out my outfield the way I wanted to, I made Willie Stargell the first base position because he also played first base. So I don't know if people would consider that cheating or what, but he was my first baseman.
He's mine too. So if it's cheating, I don't care. He's my first baseman.
So I definitely didn't do that. Derek Lee damn near made it. That's how bad the Pirates' first base situation is. Always. He still, to this day, is the best trade deadline acquisition of all time. Literally. He was that good, but the Pirates also made him retire. They were that bad.
Yeah.
I went with Kevin Young.
Okay.
He was better than I remembered. Still not great, but he was also here for what felt like an eternity.
God, what a terrible position for the Pirates.
I know. I didn't realize how bad it was.
Like where does Josh Bell rank already?
Third. If you don't add Willie Stargell to the list, third.
Kevin Young only played for the Pirates.
Yeah, crazy. I know. Where does Craig Wilson rank? Like fifth?
Where does Matt Stairs rank?
Adam LaRoche. Adam LaRoche is probably number 4.
Kevin Young had 2 seasons over 100 RBIs.
Yeah.
I liked Adam LaRoche.
He was all right.
I'll say it.
He was all right.
Kevin Young had 2 seasons with over 100 RBIs, and he wasn't an all-star in either of those seasons.
Yeah, because that was like juiced ball era. Or, well, juiced arm era, excuse me. Yeah, like Lyle Overbase probably like top 10. Justin Morneau is probably top 10. It's bad. It's bad.
I mean, if you're talking about literally like best that just put on a uniform, yeah, Justin Morneau, even though he didn't
do anything here
much in a Pirates uniform, like his overall body of work, winning MVP, winning a batting title.
Yeah.
I say John Jay, so.
I mean,
on-base machine.
Honestly, you could argue Pedro. You could. That's how bad it is.
I mean,
it's terrible.
Is the Pirates' first base position like the Steelers with punter?
It's cursed. It's cursed.
Just not good.
Yeah.
Okay. Or Steelers with DB.
This is depressing.
It is. Now let's get to second base. I want to hear your guys' first.
Okay, so I talk about this guy being pretty overrated when it comes to overall.
You did not.
All right. It's Bill Mazeroski, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. That's mine too.
He didn't even make my honorable mentions.
Obviously, like his big moment is one of the biggest moments in baseball history.
Oh yeah. Can't take that away from him.
Walk off in 60, but I mean, you look at like overall, he's like a career like 260 hitter. There's an argument to be made. There's actually there's many articles about it that he's the worst Hall of Famer in the Hall.
Arguably.
But if you're talking about just Pirates second baseman, I'm not sure. I'm curious to see what Herb has to say, because when I was going through there, I was like, man, who's even number 2? So we're about to find out.
So Maz is my number 4.
Oh, wait, I just thought of who one of them should be. Go ahead.
I guess we'll find out. My pick is Rennie Stennett.
Okay.
Very underrated player in my opinion, just in general. Number 2 is Neil Walker.
Oh, nope. Okay.
Number 3, and this is where I'm probably gonna get heat for it, is Tony Womack.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Steady Freddie Sanchez.
No, he's 5.
Because he won a batting title.
He did, but he was also not a great fielder. He made some great plays.
No, but I mean, getting back to what we talked about, like playing on some bad teams. Imagine if like him and Jason Bay were surrounded by talent.
Yeah.
It's like 406. The Pirates' offenses were pretty good because of those two guys.
But they had no pitching.
Nothing else there.
Remember Jason Michaels?
Oh God, yeah. Another like huge moment in Pirates history, but
yeah.
Freddie Sanchez has a career WAR of 15.9.
Wow, really?
Yeah, just looked it up.
And honestly, Freddie Sanchez is number 5. Number 6 is Luis Castillo.
My goodness.
Rest in peace. But yeah, Luis Castillo was not that bad.
I told you my list is very boring and straightforward.
Yeah, mine is not.
And I don't care. All right, shortstop. I'll start this one off.
Easy. Clean sweep.
Yeah, Jordy Mercer.
Ronnie Cedeno.
Honus Wagner.
Yeah, by far.
Yeah.
I mean, do we have to say anything else?
No.
Because if you're looking at just numbers, I think there's the case there that he's the greatest Pirate of all time.
Oh, absolutely.
I know that people want to throw Clemente out there, and a lot of that has to do with like off the field stuff.
Yeah.
Humanitarian than he was.
But Honus Wagner was so good.
Not to mention, he's on the most expensive baseball card ever.
Ever, yeah.
Did that play into your decision?
No, but I just know those things. I just know those things because I collect cards, and he like the 1909 T206 Honus Wagner is the most expensive baseball card because it's the rarest one. Because the only way baseball cards you got them back then, they didn't sell them like they do now. You can only get them in bubble gum and tobacco products, and so he didn't want his name and face on tobacco products. He didn't want to promote that, and so they stopped. So they stopped production of that card, which is why it's the rarest one, and it's the most valuable one. Yeah, I know. One sold like a few years ago for like $3 million.
Yeah, I saw that. That was insane. It was like 2.8, I think.
Yeah, someone. So, little story. I was like reading on this like one card site of article that someone posted that someone found in their attic after their grandparents died, like a box filled with baseball cards, and one of them was the Honus Wagner card, and the estimated value of the lot was $15 million.
Oh boy,
for all the cards.
That's insane. Now I will say, somebody who goes very underappreciated and forgot about, at least with baseball, not necessarily with his other job, Dick Groat.
Yep.
Another incredible shortstop. A lot of people forget
about
him.
Great basketball player, too.
Also great basketball player. Also great commentator.
Jack Wilson, stud.
Arguably. He's
I did
arguably
like
number 3.
Once again, a good player on bad teams.
Jack Wilson was one of my favorite players growing up. Like he arguably was my favorite player on the Pirates.
In their prime, was Jack Wilson better than Clint Barmas?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to see how you guys felt about that. I agree with
Jack
that. But I wanted
Wilson
to make
was
sure.
way better defensively than Derek Jeter too.
Oh yeah, Derek. Don't get me started. Derek Jeter was not actually that good.
He was a good hitter.
Yeah,
I'll give him that.
And he had a flair for the dramatic for sure.
But
yeah, he was a good hitter, and he was very good in the postseason.
Yeah. I'll never take that. He's Mr. October, or no, he's Mr. November. Mr. October is
Reggie Jackson.
Yeah.
For a second, it sounded like you said Randy Jackson.
Randy Jackson.
That would have been good.
Okay, third base.
This is where it gets a little hard.
I went with Pie Trainer.
I did too. Wow.
Overall body of work. You can look at the stats yourself. I'm not going to do it for you and tell you them right now. But his number is also retired by the Pirates, so that obviously means something. No one else can wear the number 20 for the Pirates.
He's also one of the rare Pirates to actually win a World Series. So,
shots fired.
The 1925 World Series, he was on that team.
Yeah.
Do you guys both have him as well?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
The other
who are we gonna
I don't even remember who else was on.
The other two.
Ramos Ramirez, I saw.
Yeah.
Pedro.
So the other two that go one of them goes unnoticed. The other one is known for another reason, entirely separate from the Pirates. One is Bill Madlock.
Yeah.
And the other is Bobby Bonilla.
Follower of Around the
I did see Bobby Bonilla.
Yeah,
but
he wasn't actually bad. He wasn't that bad here.
Yeah,
obviously with the Mets is another story.
And that dude's getting paid.
See, if I was actually picking a utility guy because he also played the outfield, he might have been on my list, to be honest with you, as my utility guy. But I literally just picked the fourth outfielder.
Somebody in the outfield definitely beat him out for sure. You'll see who.
Yeah.
All right, so we move into outfield. Did you pick just 3 outfielders? Did you just pick? Did you pick left fielder, center fielder, right fielder? Because I did left field, center field, right field.
I did left field and right field.
All right.
And I couldn't necessarily pick a center fielder, so I put a left fielder in center and then a center fielder as my utility.
All right. So since I did one of each, I'll just say mine. So left field, I picked Ralph Kiner. Because he actually played left field. I was looking at Dave Parker, but Dave Parker played right field.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to pick him. And then I have Willie Stargell as my first baseman, so I can't pick him. So I put Ralph Kiner. Fun fact, I have a signed baseball of his. Then my center fielder, I picked Kutch. He's close to our hearts. He saved the Pirates. What's that?
So this sounds like a eulogy right now.
Yeah, I know.
Arguably,
what was that? Yesterday or 2 days ago, they had the tweet that was like, "What was the saddest trade for you?" And it had to be Kutch because I couldn't think of another trade that I was like attached to the player. So much.
At least for me, because I know, like you said that, Shannon said that, and like of course Mitch being Mitch was like, "Yeah, tears of happiness." I mean, I know I talked.
Mitch can shut the hell up. Okay.
Yeah. I know I talked down on Kutch for a while, and I mean, I think it was deservedly so because he was definitely not performing up to what he should have been or could have been, and arguably, I think that's because he was hurt and playing through it and not telling anyone. But yeah, like I even said it yesterday, that was one of the strangest days up until all this happened.
Yeah, it was like. We just finished recording,
literally,
and we went back live just because it came back on.
Yeah, like we hit stop, we went and got food, we came back, and that's when the news broke, and I was like, "Well, we should probably start recording again, huh?"
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I couldn't think of a trade like in any other sport either that affected me like that.
Yeah.
But then right field, obviously, Jose Tabata.
Neck lips.
No, Roberto Clemente. Easy pick. Yeah. So,
Smitty.
What are your outfielders?
So I have those 3 as my 3 outfielders, and I just picked because I wanted to have a 4th outfielder because the outfield was always – there's so many good outfielders in Pirates history, and there wasn't like a good enough utility guy to warrant not putting him on the list, I went Barry Bonds.
If you're going by pure talent, he's the GOAT in Pirates history.
It was unlocked by a needle, but
I mean,
is that
relax.
controversial to
All
say?
right, relax. If you're going by pure talent, he's the best player in Pirates history. But I think when you look at just like the longevity on the team and how things went with the team, it's tough to put him up there with the all-time greats of the Pirates. But pure skill, he's the best.
So that's what I didn't put him as my outfielder for that reason. That's why I was like, I'm putting him as my utility guy because I think just based off of like his entire body of work, he belongs in this lineup somewhere. And there's not a guy that played multiple positions to warrant like being the utility spot over having a fourth outfielder. So I just felt like Barry Bonds could find a home there for me.
That's fair. So yeah, right field was super easy. Clemente by far and away. Left field, I picked Paul Wainer.
Okay.
Center field, this is probably where I'm going to hear it. Matty Alou.
All right. Yeah. How do you hang up on her?
I believe there's a leave meeting.
I went with Matty Alou in center field.
Check that real quick.
I picked Kutch as my utility.
Okay.
So he's still on my team. Willie Stargell is not. Dave Parker is not. So on and so forth. They're all very good. But yeah, that's just me.
My thing with Kutch is, as you mentioned, obviously the last couple of years here weren't the same as the MVP that we saw. And it's the whole team started to regress during those years as well. But I mean, I don't know that anybody else had like that individual impact on a franchise. Like this is a team that saw 20 straight years of losing, and then he was the face of it turning around. Mm-hmm. But it obviously didn't happen right away. He was drafted in 2009. We didn't make the playoffs until, or not 2009. He was drafted in what, 2005?
2005. Yeah. He came up in 2009.
He came up in 2009, and it took obviously a while to get to the playoffs. But he wanted to be drafted by the Pirates because he said he wanted to be the face of a turnaround like that. And then he wins MVP the first year that we go back to the playoffs.
As he should have.
And have that 3-year stretch of making the playoffs. I mean, obviously it was kind of like short-lived, his run of dominance, but for, half a decade, he was one of the best outfielders in baseball. Yeah. For, a team that saw 20 straight years of losing. So for me, he was like the first player, as you mentioned, like with the trade, why it was so tough. He was the first baseball player that I was really like able to attach myself to for that reason. Like all I knew was losing, and all of a sudden this guy was the face of a franchise that turned it around and actually made it to the playoffs.
It would be depressing again, but you're right.
It's probably like back in like 1984, whenever Lemieux came to the Penguins. Like it was kind of like the same feeling where like they were so bad for so long, and then this guy comes around and he's like the face of the franchise. Now Kutch is nowhere near what Lemieux is to the Penguins,
or hockey in general.
Yeah. But at the same time, he's the one that turned it around. So it's like he's gonna be more attached like to fans because of that. Like he was a face of that. Yeah. Whenever you think of the playoff runs, like the first person I think of is Kutch. So yeah, I mean I'll always have him in my top 3.
Yeah. Okay. So did we each pick a starting pitcher, a reliever, and a closer, or just a starting pitcher?
Yeah, I went with all 3 of those.
Yeah, okay. I had all 3. Okay. Although my reliever and closer are both closers.
All right.
Well, I mean, a closer's a reliever, so
yeah.
I was very close to doing like the same thing, but I ended up picking. Oh, I'll just start to go ahead. I want Doug Drabek as my starter. Yeah, I feel like he was like, even though Garrett Cole had like the one really dominant year here, I feel like Doug Drabek was like the last like ace that the Pirates had
by far. He was so good.
Yeah. And then for my reliever, I went with the guy that kind of like invented the way that people use relievers now, like the modern day relievers, kind of like a swingman type guy at times would start games. Elroy Face is my reliever. And then
that's a good one.
Colby's my closer.
Yeah, Teague is my closer. That kind of just how it boils down. Melanson is kind of up there. After that, it kind of dips down. You go like Grilly, Hanrahan, nothingness. My reliever did something a little different. Elroy Face is a very good pick. I like that a lot. I went with Jared Hughes. Credit his last season here was not great.
Where'd you say that leave meeting thing was?
His last season here was not good. But just like he is the guy you want to come in a jam, at least through his time here, just because he always seemed to get out of it. If he started an inning off fresh, you were screwed. But if he came in, guys on third and second, no outs or one out, you got out of the jam, no problem. There are plenty of good options, I will say that, but that's who I went with.
All right, so my starting pitcher is different than both of you.
No.
What?
Don't say it.
Don't say what? I didn't pick Garrett Cole.
Oh. Who? What?
I picked Vern Law.
Wow.
Going back a little bit, he played in the 50s and 60s, but which I know, like, pitching isn't the same back then as what it is today, but still, I picked Vern Law. He played his entire career with the Pirates, and he won a World Series. He won a Cy Young, 2-time All-Star. So I picked him as my starting pitcher. Also Mormon, by the way. Fun fact. And then for my closer, I picked Kent Tekulve, just like you guys.
Yeah, that's easy.
But then I think it's closer than you made it sound, Herb. For my reliever, I just picked another closer, and I picked Melanson.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's closer to being like the top closer in Pirates history than people realize he is.
Oh no, I agree with that.
Like he was a stud.
Yeah, no, I agree with that completely.
And like I thought about picking other relievers, but it's like the best relievers are traditionally closers.
Yeah.
So I just picked Melanson because I don't care about the rules.
Most saves in a single season for the Pirates. So
yeah,
his 2015 was ridiculous.
Yeah, just like with Jared Hughes, Tony Watson, and Mark Melanson in 2015, if you got to the 7th,
it was over
with a lead. You won the game.
And then they added Blanton and Soria.
Yeah, if you got to the 5th inning, it was over.
Yeah.
Once the game started.
That was like Smitty, you said it like multiple times. In 2015, like you went to the ballpark just not thinking you were going to lose. Like you expected to win.
It was dominant. It was straight up dominant.
Must be nice.
That was the best. That was my best year as a sports fan.
Oh, by far.
Go into all this. Like I had a 20-game package, and I might as well have bought like the full season.
I think that was the last year I had season tickets.
I went to like 50+ games.
Yeah. Anytime, like I would go down there and just go to get like. And the thing that's funny is like games like weren't as cheap as they are now either because they were good.
Yeah.
They weren't as cheap, but you're still talking like $20. Like,
yeah.
Well, yeah, but like this
compared
season,
to 5.
if this season actually started, we could probably buy like $10 tickets, like after fees.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, it probably was your best time as a sports fan too, because it was right before you met me.
That's facts.
That's true. Yeah. Even though you were sitting like right next to me.
I know. Yeah, that was weird.
Who's managing? Who's coaching these teams and managing these teams?
Oh.
Like the Pirates or
all three? We didn't do a coach.
Okay. So for okay. The Steelers. Sure. You're not sure? The Steelers have only had 3 coaches since 1969 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I'm going with Chuck Noll.
Yeah, I was thinking of a way I could swing picking Tomlin or
he's number 1.
Cowher.
I think number 2 you'd have a debate for.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Chuck Noll. For the Penguins, I'm picking Mike Sullivan.
Wow, really?
Yes, really. And for the Pirates, it'd have to be someone older.
Chuck Tanner?
Yeah, I think it's Chuck Tanner.
Probably. It's not going to be anybody recent. Maybe it'll be
Derek Shelton, never lost a game.
I was gonna say maybe it'll be Derek Shelton. We don't know. But yeah, probably Chuck Tanner.
I think I'd take.
Mine's Noel Sullivan and Tanner.
I think I'd take Bob Johnson for the Penguins.
Okay.
I think. Yeah, why not?
As long as you don't pick Scotty Bowman, because
or Dan
Mario
Belsma.
wouldn't like it.
That's fair.
I mean, yeah. He only coached one season with the Penguins.
Oh, yeah, I know, but still.
Eddie Olczyk.
I mean,
Hey, I mean, he did get us Sid.
He did.
Yeah.
I mean, if we want to go really back with it, I could say Herb Brooks.
I mean, really go. Bob Johnson's older than Herb Brooks.
I know, but also for a short period of time.
Yeah, 2000, 2001 or something like that.
I think, yeah.
And then he was working for the team whenever he died.
Oh, was he?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't know that.
All right.
Utility?
Anything else?
I think that's it.
I didn't say my utility guy.
Oh. What the? Okay. Poti Reese, isn't it?
What's that?
Humberto Cota.
And it's Poti Reese, isn't it?
No, and mine's a pure utility guy, and it's going based off of one season only. It's Josh Harrison.
Oh. As soon as you said pure utility guy.
That is fair.
2014 Josh Harrison was unbelievable. So I'm picking that year only. That year, I only want that one. Any other year, I don't want him. But 2014, he batted like 315, playing like 8
everywhere.
Different positions.
He should have won the batting title. Justin Morneau sat out like a week and a half to not drop any points.
Yeah. The only other person that crossed my mind when you said strictly utility was Sean Rodriguez.
Oh, my God.
That would have been funny as hell.
It's funny because I loved Sean Rodriguez when he was here.
Me too. By far and away.
Yeah, 2014. I mean, he batted 315, on base percentage 347. He had 52 RBIs, which for a utility guy, like, I mean, he wasn't a starter and he had 52 RBIs.
Jeez.
Like a set starter, I should say.
Yeah.
He played 143 games. Okay. And he didn't have a set starting position. That's crazy.
It's absurd.
So, yeah, I'm picking 2014 Josh Harrison. No other year.
He made another All-Star team, 2016 or 2017, one of them.
2017.
Yeah. So.
His on-base percentage was 339.
Also, while we're here, if you made it this far, both on the video or audio, give us ideas because there's nothing to talk about anymore.
We can come up with dumb lists.
Oh, absolutely, but I don't want to become a list podcast.
We're gonna next podcast. We're gonna come up with a list of dumb lists.
Oh, absolutely.
Our top 5 worst lists. Maurice Jones-Drew, most recent mock draft, is number 1 on every list for terrible things.
Oh, let me show you guys something cool before we go.
Take your time. You have all day and all week.
I'm not gonna get it out of the package because I don't feel like wrapping it up again. But there's my if you can show up.
Too bad it's getting keyed out.
Yeah, the Sid Ice Lions jersey.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
I assume you're framing it.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And so this box, which is getting keyed out, is a Sid signed jersey. This box is a Sid signed jersey. I've got one on my wall behind me.
Maniac.
All right. Well, as Herb said, tweet at us. Let us know what you want to see from us. I can guarantee that we'll take your recommendation because we're going to be searching for things to talk about. So tweet at us. Let us know what you want to see and hear. We are part of the Pod Hub Network. Check out us. Check out all the other shows at podhubnetwork.com. Follow the social media. I do want to mention that as of right now, still, the Horse That Can Win Bash is set to take place June 27th from 5 to 9 at Whiskey Rhythm in Acca, PA. That's at 1198 Pennsylvania Avenue. Follow the social media there. Stay up to date with that stuff. We'll obviously update if things were to change due to the coronavirus obviously going around, and if that were to have to be pushed back, postponed, whatever might happen with that. But as of right now, as I said, June 27th, 5 to 9 at Whiskey Rhythm, that will take place. Teach Barbershop is our sponsor. They're located at 180 Brighton Avenue in Rochester, PA. Open 11 to 7 Tuesday through Friday and 9 to 4 on Saturday. Tuesday, he does $5 off for military personnel, first responders, and nurses. Obviously, once again, with what's going on right now. He's not open at the moment, but we are still going to promote him, get word out there for him. You can follow his social media and stay up to date with when he's going to be able to reopen and everything like that. Other than that, Smitty, Tyler, Herb, and Herb looked like he was about to say something.
Yeah, I will say real quick. I don't know if you guys saw it on Twitter this morning. The president had a call with all the commissioners.
Yeah.
Supposedly, obviously, take it with a grain of salt because nobody knows how it's going to go. But at least according to the team in the White House, they expect to have full stadiums by August.
Listen, my problem there is I'm just sick of people putting timelines on this stuff because you never know what's going to happen. Something different can completely happen when we shut our computers off.
Yeah, exactly. The only reason I'm saying it is, like I said, it's the actual team doing the research.
Right.
That I believe that is a best case scenario, but we will see.
I mean, you started that by saying take it with a grain of salt. So, I mean, absolutely. I think that a lot of people are hopeful. If you tuned into like the Pirates Instagram Live, Stephen Brault was talking about things yesterday, and someone asked him a question there. He's like, listen, I don't have any more information than anybody else. Just because I'm playing in a league doesn't mean I have any more information. We're taking this day by day just like everybody else is. But, they're hopeful that they're going to be able to play as many games as possible with full stadiums. So, they obviously want to play baseball, whether it be with the fans or without. They would rather have it be with the fans. But, we just, once again, have to take this day by day. If, the sooner we can get everybody to stay home and take the precautions that they need to, the sooner we're going to be able to get back to some semblance of normalcy. So everybody just, once again, as I mentioned at the beginning, so stay safe, stay home when you can, wash your hands, take care of each other, take care of yourself, and that will take care of each other.
Yes. Above all else, take care of yourself.
And follow and listen to Around the 412 more importantly than anything else.
You got a lot of time.
You have more than enough time.
But okay, tweet at us. Let us know what you want to see next episode. Until then, it's been Smitty, Herb, and Tyler. And we'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.